Welcome to the February 20th, 2024 Pasco Public Facilities District Board meeting. Called the meeting to order and roll call, Debbie?
Yes. Carolyn Bowdish. Leonard Dietrich.
Yes.
Marie Gillespie.
Here.
Spencer Gillette.
Here.
And Mark Morsak.
Here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Pasco Public Facilities District Board meeting. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wa.gov under the Public Facilities District Board webpage. This meeting is also being televised live on PSC TV Channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, and Microsoft Teams. Lastly, the public may submit their comments and/or questions by contacting the Pasco Public Facilities District Executive Director or the Pasco City Clerk. Debbie, would you please read the recognition of visitors?
So this item is provided to allow the public an opportunity to bring items to the attention of the Pasco Public Facilities District Board or to express an opinion on an issue. Its purpose is not to provide a venue for debate or for posing questions with the expectation of an immediate response. Some questions require consideration by the board over time, and after a deliberative process with input from different sources, some questions are best directed to staff members who have access to specific information. Public comments are normally limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Each of those anyone with lengthy messages are invited to summarize their comments and or submit written information for consideration by the PPFD board outside of formal meetings. Lastly, when called upon, please state your name and the city or county of residency into the microphone before providing your comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody online or anybody present who would like to speak to the board at this time? Hearing none.
Not seeing anybody in the audience, nor have I gotten a phone call or any contact from anybody to be part of it.
All right, thanks, Matt. Agenda item number 3, the approval of the January 16th, 2024 board meeting minutes. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the January 16th meeting as mailed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the January 16th, 2024 board meeting minutes. That one, Caroline. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion. All in favor of the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Hearing none, the motion carries. Item number 4, claims approval. So this is the approval of the December 2023 and the January 2024 monthly expenses for the district. And I think, do we turn that over to you, Darcy?
You can.
Thank you. Take it away.
You rightly said that there's a report for each month in there. December of 23 and January of 24, we are working on closing up our books and kind of held up back December till we could get everything posted that belonged in that month. So all the expenses are kind of recurring from the previous months of the 23 and into 24, nothing unusual there. And so it's just for your review and approval, please.
And Mr. Morse, note too that the second motion on there should be to approve January 2024. There was a typo there.
All right, thank you, Matt. If everybody would, board members, please correct their agenda. But we do apparently have to vote on each month's separately, right, Darcy? Okay.
That would be good. Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion to approve first the December 2023 expenses in the amount of $1,182,083.82. Go ahead, Spence.
I've got a question.
Oh, you gotta go, okay. We're gonna do that before our discussion of the motion?
Well,
Go
I'll
ahead.
make the motion if we can discuss.
No, go ahead. Let's do it.
you want my question? or
Yes,
what?
please. The question, sorry.
I'm trying to look at the December ledger, expense ledger, and I'm wondering, Darcy, can you tell me what the big expense was? It looks as though the general ledger account, organizational services for 719 is what skews this amount to be much bigger than our normal monthly expense. And why is January so low?
It is because we receive sales tax revenue. We keep our books open essentially a 13th period, and the revenues that we receive for sales tax for the months of November and December are received in 2024. But what we also do to reflect those revenues, partially the PFD tax that goes to Kennewick, is that we make a journal entry to reflect the expense in the same period. So that might be what you're seeing.
Well, this is on the expense ledger, not the revenue ledger.
And what is the amount?
Well, we're asked to approve 1.182083. What's the big expense? I see one for 700,000 there. This is much higher than what we typically
Yes,
approve.
I'm looking at that too. And my report is cut off at the end, so I can't see it. Can I follow up and get that information for you?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I have a question. On lighted construction, I don't know anything that we've done.
Well, I have an explanation on that. Remember that when the process of design build, when you engage and you do a list of people, the people that were not successful bidders do get a stipend, and if I recall, it was about 10K, 5K
Each.
for each. So Leidig was one of the ones that did do an extensive submission for a request for proposal, and they were not successful.
And that is state required, but for a design build process to pay those honorariums, there were 2 of them.
Thank you, and I agree with Spence. I couldn't come to my rational mind as to why the expenses were what they are.
Let me look at them and I'll get back to you. Can we skip that motion and not approve the December motion?
Okay,
Thank you.
so you'll take us now to January? Okay, so then before she does that, we didn't have a motion put on the table, so there's nothing to withdraw. So are there any questions for January?
Yes, I think what she did.
You're fine, you could go ahead and make a motion then, Spence, would you please?
I move to approve the January 2020, actually, that should be January 2024 PPFD expenses in the amount of $16,110.19.
A second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve the January 2024 expenses in the amount of $16,110.19. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, then we'll go ahead and vote to approve the expenses for January 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion carries.
Mr. Morissette?
Yes.
Just talking with Darcy and asking if clarification would come within this meeting or if it would be better to do this at the next meeting. Darcy indicates this is not critical and would be able to do it the next meeting and have a better explanation.
And a follow-up on
That's fine.
why the report looks exactly
Okay.
the way it does. Please, thank you.
I guess the only thing I ask is don't identify it as December 2024. It's coming too soon. Okay, but Darcy, you have to, well, I guess we made it through all of agenda item 5 then, didn't we? Except for the accountability audit. Okay, so it's still your turn.
Okay, let me get my papers together here. So we are in the beginning stages of an accountability audit. Historically, the PFD has been audited every 3 years, but and the last audit was performed for the period of 2017 through the end of 2019. So they're getting started here with 2020 through 2023, I believe. Then after this, it will be reoccurring or getting a little information back from the state auditor's office, either every 2 years or once a year. It kind of depends on their assessment based on both the level of revenues that the PFD receives in a year, and when you issue debt, that may speed that up to being a 1-year audit. But the purpose of an accountability audit is to look at, they come and they sample different activities and entries and payments, revenue, and look also if you're complying with state laws and regulations, and also any PFD policies and procedures that, and at this point in time, there's not a lot of policies and procedures because it's just the beginning stages of making those sorts of decisions for the PFD. So mainly, I think this time they'll make sure that there's regular internal controls and best practices, documentation, and support for activities, and follow up on that information for the reporting that's done through the end of 2023. But
2022.
is it 2022? They're not going to do 3 years. Okay, 2022. And so I don't know if they'll be back at the end. We did send a message to the state auditor's office to see if they will increase it to every year or every 2 years. Last we heard it was every 2 years. So, but if I get an update, I'll definitely share that. And I don't think there was anything else special to point out other than as time passes and more policies are decided on and brought to the board, you'll make those decisions, and that will guide future accountability audits just to make sure that we have, as a team, steps and processes in place to safeguard money and reporting.
These accountability audits, are they available for the public to see?
They are. Once they're completed, they're on the state auditor's website.
Okay, thank you.
I would just chime in too that I was involved in this and still am, and I think the nature of the PFD through the end of 2022 is sort of PFD version 1, so it's not quite so dramatic, and I would expect that going forward that they are going to be more complex because we've also started receiving funds in the beginning of 2023. I also know that I believe the SAO person sent out notes to board members if you'd like to be part of the exit interview process. I believe that's coming up, so I kind of got the impression they'll be concluded in the next week or two with this. I haven't heard any issues or concerns so
I'm
far.
not either.
All right, very good. Item number 6 on the agenda, reports from committees. Design and Construction Committee, Marie?
Okay, well, I'm happy to say that we have been very busy. We've had a lot of activity. We have meetings every Friday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and every other week is focused on getting the Design and Construction Committee feedback and input. So our meetings so far have included exercises to determine the scope of the Aquatic Center and what kind of programming we'd like to present. We are facing a pretty big challenge in that we're trying to develop the total project cost, and the land development costs and the final bonding numbers are unknowns. So we're using conservative bond values to give us kind of the reins of what the bounds are, and we're working with the city to determine the land cost and the land development costs. But without knowing what the development costs are going to be, it's challenging to determine what the budget is for the construction and the amenities. But like I said, we're moving forward within these constraints to identify what amenities are important to the community, using the feedback obtained from community outreach activities, which has been the Family Expo, the online survey that's currently open, and the Pasco Parks and Rec basketball that Matt attended recently. And we see the examples of the sticker boards in the back of the room that we used to get that community input. I have asked the team to consider, and I'd like the board to consider, providing more focus on a year-round facility rather than the original Ballard King model that focused more on outdoor and less on indoor. It was kind of a 60-40 ratio outdoor to indoor. I'm asking this because I believe Pasco and the region we've got multiple options for outdoor summer pools and water recreation, but we have very limited indoor year-round options. But this is going to have an impact on how the budget is spent. So that's just something that we're beginning to explore. No decisions have been made. It's just something I think that we should consider going forward. So we did take February 2nd and did a very long day trip to the west side of the state, and we visited the Linwood Aquatic Center and Snohomish. And my impressions were that the Linwood facility was very compact. And we visited at a time when there was an exercise class going on. So it was very busy. It was very well used. I think it was an exercise class that was, I don't know what the focus was, but it was full of seniors who were exercising in the lazy river. It looked like a lot of fun. Everybody was smiling and having a good time. They had 2 water slides and a play structure, and they had a lap pool and a warm water therapy pool that was separated from the recreational pool by a wall. The locker rooms were really tight. We spent a lot of time talking to the director about their programming, how the traffic flows through the facility, their operational budget, how they maintain the facility, and what challenges that they're experiencing. They did let us know that their swim lessons and their party rooms are big revenue generators, and they sell out really quickly, like within minutes of when those things open, and their party rooms are booked every weekend. Snohomish, that's the one that's operated by the school district. When I walked up to this facility, it felt exciting and fun. It just, the outdoor appearance was very inviting. It had a very spacious recreation side. The bodies of water in both of these facilities were pretty similar. There wasn't a huge difference, but the Snohomish facility just felt much more spacious and open, and less compact and tight. It had 1 water slide that was currently closed for repairs. It did have a wave rider, which is the high dollar, wave generating machine that you can boogie board or simulate surfing. The locker rooms were much more roomy and usable. They did have a separate competition pool that was in use at the time that we visited for a high school boys swim meet, and it was packed. People everywhere, people in the stands, boys waiting for their meets. We ran out of time and didn't get to spend any time sitting and talking with the director there. We kind of had to rush through the tour, but we did get to see everything that we needed to see. And I also wanted to mention that the 2 different facilities use different sanitizing methods. Linwood uses chlorine gas, and Snohomish is a saltwater pool. Saltwater pool is kind of a misnomer because it still eventually uses chlorine. It's just generated in a different way. NAC did provide a white paper about the pros and cons of both of these different types of chlorination for our consideration, and those things have cost impacts too. So we'll have to consider that as we go forward. At the February 9th meeting, WTI presented an overview of features and cost impacts and recovery potential of those amenities, similar to what we had seen from Ballard King before. And a person from Ballard King was also present to give us an update on the business plan. And last week, on the 16th, we discussed a high-level budget. So we had 3 different options. The first one was the original Ballard King option, which was roughly the 40% indoor, 60% outdoor spaces. And then we flipped it and did the 60-40 indoor-outdoor, so more focus on the indoor. And then we also were presented with an option or an invitation to consider focusing more in resources on just the indoor portion. So that was a lot of words. That's my update. Are there any questions?
Yeah, question in regards to the 2 that you visited, the initial cost on each one of them?
I don't know off the top of my head. I think we were presented with that information some time ago when Matt visited a year and a half ago or so.
Yes, and both facilities are going to be a little bit apples and orangish. The most recent one is the Snohomish facility, but I believe it's probably 7 or 8 years old since it was constructed. So
It was 10. They were celebrating their
years.
10th anniversary when we were there, yeah.
So we don't have off the top of our head a general number of, it was 45 million.
I think what Ms. Gillespie is alluding to is the part of the process that we're going through in the validation period with our contractors, NAC and in Boughton, is they're coming up, and I'm going to get the acronym wrong, TVD, total value, target value, and that process is what we're working through. And I think Marie alluded to a first cut that I don't think everybody wants to start publishing, but it's a process, and I think we're in and around within. We'll end up being within budget of what we're going for. But there's
What I was looking for is how much did you pay for that Chevy in 1974? And I'm not going to get that.
no, because it's a different
okay.
It's a different generation.
Yeah. So it's 10 years old. So those numbers don't mean anything.
Snohomish also did both of their sides at the same time, so it's a little bit apples to orange comparison. But I think the TVD process, you're going to get a very solid number because, by definition, it's going to end up being a guaranteed maximum price, and that's a virtue of the design build process. Maybe Heath would have a better explanation.
No, not a better explanation, but I will say that the original Ballard King study that we're using as the base, and as we start into this, was a size of pool and facility that's similar to both of those facilities. One had a little bit bigger body of water than the other one, but the original Ballard King study is kind of in alignment with those 2 facilities. That's why those were chosen as good options to look at. So by nature of that, the budgets that were put together during those studies are representative of the value of those projects. So I will just say that, if that makes any sense.
I think the bigger concern really is the land purchase.
And the only thing from my simple mind is when I visited somebody's property, I say, and if it was 8 years old, 10 years old, what did it cost you at that time? And that kind of gave me a ballpark as to, okay, I needed bigger, I needed smaller, those kind of things, but it gave me something to hang my hat on. But that's fine.
Okay.
Well, maybe that number could be tracked now.
Well, perhaps it would be helpful. I think it's fair to say we're targeting a $30.7 million cost for the construction of the facility itself. And then with an expectation that we would be able to bond $42 million And that would, of course, be for other things, including land purchase and development and operations for a portion. So I'd suggest the number that's sticking in my mind is 31 and 42
Okay,
for
thank you.
numbers.
Of their projects? Or-
No, of our
Okay.
project
But
specifically.
Leonard, you still wanna know what it is over there? Okay. Okay. Okay, so then, that takes us to agenda item 6B, the Audit and Finance Committee report, and we have nothing to report. Item number 7, old business. Do we have any old business? Then we move on to new business, which is resolution number 2024-02, which is an amendment to stakeholder register and decision matrix. Matt and Heath?
I'm going to go ahead and give this one to Heath.
Okay, what you have is just an update to our stakeholder register and decision matrix. This is the tool that we started building and that you approved previously. And when we did that, we had indicated that as the project progresses, we'll add to it and revise it so that we make sure we get all the stakeholders eventually on here. So this is an update to that. We've added a couple of stakeholders. We've got a new column for the municipal advisor for the bonding and such. And then we've got a new column for community ambassador group, which is newly formed. And so we put them on here so that we can represent what kinds of information needs to be shared with each of them and what their responsibilities are. Then we also added things such as some of the progressive design build submittals and deliverables and who needs to be consulted on those and who approves them. Because obviously our design build team is responsible to turn in deliverables to us. We need a mechanism by who signs off on those or approves them. And then we also wanted to represent a couple of other important tasks, which is establishing an operational plan. So you'll see on here that Mr. Watkins is responsible for establishing operational plan, and the board is responsible, needs to approve the operational plan, and there's several people that will be consulted, several other stakeholders will be consulted in that. And then preparing and issuing bonding, we wanted to show, so the municipal advisor bonding person will be responsible for getting that done. The board and Mr. Watkins will need to approve it, and some of the other stakeholders, such as City of Pasco and Winhaw Group, will consult in that where needed, particularly City of Pasco and Darcy's group. So that is those are the highlights of the changes that have been made to this. We're just putting it forward, asking for it to be updated and approved, so we can use it going forward.
And I would just augment that this has served, I think, as a great utility so far in being able to decide who gets an email, who gets invited to something. And it's going to be specially focused around the design build portion of this. And then that's why there's also the modification. So I'm not sure if all the board members have seen the full range of what this does, but I can promise that it is being used and will be used further, especially with the modification. And it's working well, I think, well as a living document.
Any questions, comments for Heath or Matt? Okay, very good. So then entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-02.
I move to approve resolution number 2024-02, approving an amendment to the stakeholder register and decision matrix for the design and construction of the aquatics facility.
And a second?
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 2024-02. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then we'll go ahead and vote on the motion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 8B, appointments to the Ad hoc Ambassador Committee. Marie, back to you. Is it you or Matt?
How about if I start out and both you and Marie, I think, could also be part of this as well.
Okay.
Of course, you want to do an ambassador committee, and we've, I believe, come to a point where we have some specific recommendations on the committee that you did approve, I think, a couple of meetings ago. In short, would be idea of a sounding board or a ad hoc advisory only committee of 3 members, one of which would be an appointee of Pasco School District. And do note that we have the person who has been appointed by the superintendent of Pasco School District present this evening. Kara Burney is in the audience, and if you'd like to, when we get through this, if you'd like to invite her up, I'm sure she'd like to introduce herself. There's also, in the current state that the board approved, was make sure that bring these members back to the full board for consideration. And the committee, including yourself and Ms. Gillespie, met and went through, I'll call it 6 applications for community members for 2 positions, 5 of which were qualified, and you narrowed it down to two, which I believe are be recommended tonight. And those folks, I think, I know that I've talked with Heath and also talked with Boughton and Knack. And in fact, one of those suggestions or recommendations this evening, Mr. Paul Whitemarsh is in attendance, and then also Mr. Craig Maloney, former council member, former PFD board member, also is going to be those with the recommendation tonight. Just as a practical matter, assuming you do approve this committee tonight, I know that myself and Heath and Boughton and Knack are looking forward to debriefing and getting this committee up to speed with as much information as we can, and including them in some of the design build meetings, and also for them to be able to have all the information they need to be able to go out and be knowledgeable PFD members in communities they might be involved with and talk about the PFD. And that's basically the idea of the ambassador committee. And the specific action I'd like to request tonight is that you endorse the 2 recommendations from the committee, and also recognize that we have a PSD person here, school or student person. Start that 3-member committee, and then if you want to talk about any other portions or anything else to do with that committee, I would say that's the second part of the discussion. Knowing also that there was some interesting conversation by yourself and Ms. Gillespie about what this board might, or this committee might be able to become, or suggesting moving forward. That'd be my summary of where we're at. Hopefully that's complimentary to Ms. Gillespie and Mr. Morissette's memory.
Did you catch all that, Marie?
I did.
You did, good. Okay, are there any questions, any board members for the committee that met to work through the candidates, or?
If you had 5 applicants, I'd say that it would get covered. They show on base.
It was good candidates. Good candidates. Caroline, you're fine? Okay. So then, Marie, if you would go ahead, and you need to read the motion, I probably should not.
Okay, I move to appoint Craig Maloney and Paul Whitemarsh to the Ad hoc Ambassador Committee.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve Craig Maloney and Paul Whitemarsh to the Ad hoc Ambassador Committee. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on this motion. All those in favor of those 2 candidates, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. So the motion carries, Paul.
And if you don't mind, since we do have another member here, the appointee from, if either Mr. Whitemarsh or Ms. Burney might come up and you could get to know them just for a second, that would probably be wonderful.
You comfortable with doing that? You're just gonna come over here, turn it on, introduce yourself, just first and last name and which high school you go to? And also mention, I think you mentioned earlier that you are in communication with the other high school?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I work at the Pasco pool. I've worked there for 2 summers, and then I've also swam there for, this will be my 4th year. And this year I was a swim team captain, so I worked a lot with my coach. And also she coaches Chihuahua's team, so we also do like it's combined, so it's Pasco and Chihuahua, so we kind of like swim together, but we also compete together. So I've been around this area a long time, so it's pretty cool.
What year in school are you?
I'm a junior,
A
11.
junior? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me your name again.
Kira Burney.
Right.
Kira.
All right, we'll get it. Okay. Are there any questions for her?
No, I'll just say welcome. You're at the beginning of a long process.
I'm excited though. Thank you.
Yeah, and love every minute of it because you're going to be enthralled in making decisions for this community that will last more than your lifetime.
I'm excited, so
Good.
thank you. Is that any other questions?
Go ahead, Marie.
Thank you, Kara, for
Thank you.
volunteering.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Would you also like to say hi to Paul?
Oh, go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
I didn't understand. You asking or?
Directing.
No, you're,
I think most are familiar with Paul, but if not, Paul's a fixture in the city of Pasco, and thank him for his service. Oh, Paul, if you can turn the light on, probably.
There's
you're too used to this side of this.
Yeah, I graduated in Pasco High School. Went to school at Eastern Washington University, was on the swim team up there. Had swam at Memorial Pool all my life and never lifeguarded. But I came home without a job, getting ready to do Army Reserve military training in the fall. And I heard that there was an opening for managing a Memorial swimming pool. So I asked Dick Erickson if I could apply, and he did. And 37 years later, I managed the swimming pool for my last time. And Leonard talked about it being a long haul. I coached the swim team right out of college as I took that job with the city. And we had a big swim meet, a huge meet. It was the Water Follies meet, brought swimmers from all over the Northwest. And the media picked up on it, of course. And I remember interviewing with Lloyd Amon, the Kona Radio. And he asked me what would make Pasco a better place for competitive swimming. I said, an indoor swimming pool. That was how many years ago? 50 years ago, I suppose. So it is a long haul, and I'm so excited to see it come into fruition. And thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you. Good to have you.
Thanks.
And look how it started out for him as a junior in high school also.
You know, I might mention that Paul's former boss, Dick Erickson, I worked for him when I watered Pasco Golf Course for several years. Yeah, I ate at night till 4 a.m. because we hand set the whole golf course.
Wow.
He was quite a guy.
Yeah, I'll just say, Paul, thank you very much. Because a lot of times when we get long in the tooth, we get tired. But I know that recreation has been a large part of your belief and your drive. And I want to thank you for coming into this here. You will bring a great deal of experience to this committee, and I appreciate that very much, so thank you.
And now that you have a base for an ambassador committee, I will pledge to get them up to speed. I'm sure I'll enlist the support of Heath and other resources to get them up to speed as well, and looking forward to involving them. And with that, also, I know that you have, I think, Mr. Chair, you also might have some additional discussion of what you might want to make the ambassador committee possibly in the future. Or at least board members, another board member might be interested in talking about it.
I was talking to Caroline. So repeat that?
I think Ms. Gillespie has some additional thoughts on
Oh,
the
okay.
ambassador committee process.
I would like us to consider expanding the ambassador committee to potentially 5 people. I think we started the idea of the ambassador committee many, many, many months ago when I brought to the board that I was concerned that the design and construction committee would need more direct community input. And I specifically asked for a mom to represent that demographic. And unfortunately, we didn't get one this time. So I'd like to try again and cast a wider net and see if we can maybe catch a mom. I don't know how else to say that. We could also, one of the other things that I think Leonard had said that would be valuable for the ambassadors is to consider the ambassadors continuing on and becoming the next PPFD board members, right? So I think we might need to expand a little bit more so that we can fulfill that goal in the future.
I would just note too that, and I'm going to share a little bit of my experience that when I was council member and mayor for years and went through a lot of volunteer committees. You review the applications you have, and the applications we have didn't include a mother in it. So I think the question Ms. Gillespie is also asking is whether or not to expand or reopen applications, if you would like to, as a board, review additional applications. I will note that I did get a person after the fact did hear about the applications, but the time had closed that I had advertised, and you may get a little bit more diverse interest if you do a second round. But I would also note that you do have a batch of people that did fill out applications, and there were a lot of qualified people as well that weren't chosen. If you end up doing that, then you would need to, I think, if you would do expanded, you would want to consider all the applicants that didn't get chosen as well as part of the process. There's a fairness principle, I think, here. So I'm trying to carefully do my job as your director, but also I think Ms. Gillespie's point about diversity as being an important thing in the community, and that's always a tough nut to crack. And but it's, I think, a worthy one too. So that's as far as I'll go, in knowing that I also weighing my past experience as a council member and mayor on that point.
All right, very good. I don't know why the interest wasn't there to start with, but I don't think we should let that disappoint us. And if need be, either the ambassadors or the design and construction committee, or we may need to go to some organization itself to recruit that kind of information. That would come from the moms.
I'd say mainly, first of all, you as a board needs to decide whether or not you want to open that and expand it. Those are two questions. And if, as far as opening it up again, I can certainly do that. I think there would be some additional applications we could extend a period possibly add, but that's a fundamental choice that you would have to make as a board on whether or not to expand it from 3 to 5.
So Matt, could you explain to us how we solicited the volunteer applications?
Over the past year and a half, I certainly made a list of people that I have heard about interest and made sure and send them emails. So I posted it on our social media website. I talked about it when I went to go out to Kiwanis meetings and that sort of thing. Didn't translate to a lot of applications and not necessarily the most diverse set of applications. But there is also something to be said. People who do pay attention and want to be involved, particularly the members that you do have on the board, I think would tell you they're the people who bother to turn in an application are sometimes different than the people who say they may want to do it and don't end up doing it. So it's a kind of a balancing act. I certainly believe if we were to open it back up, we would get some more responses. I just can't tell you how many or how diverse they would be.
Yeah, my comment on it is, I think you have valid points. I always hate to try to push the envelope larger than what it needed to be. 3 people, I think we felt was accomplish what needed to be, but your points are well taken. And listening to what Mark just had to say about maybe between the three people that we have and the construction there, they can make a determination whether or not it would be beneficial or there would be advantageous to add two more people to it. I don't like to have committees that get too big, but your points are well taken. And I think it has some merit, but I don't know that it ought to come from a general solicitation. I think between the three people who are there and the construction committee and maybe even the or design build, people could say, wow, this person would really fit into that. Could be accomplished by a resolution that says up to 5 people. This is hitting me, and I'm just scratching my head. I'm literally scratching my head on this one here, because I think 3 would be able to do it, but how far do we open the door? I think something we need to think about. And I'm not saying you're wrong at all, because I honestly believe you have good points in that, having demographics, but how far do you carry the demographics? And Paul's a father, so he's not a mother.
Well, yeah, and I'm not trying to discriminate against fathers. It's just that, in my experience, moms are the ones that carry the kids to and from the activities.
I guess that's just my quick thought on what's out there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't, when we find this person that we might want to add in the future, then that will be by essentially cherry picking them, right? Not opening the application again, and then we would make a resolution to appoint them. So that's fine if that's the way we want to go.
No, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's the correct way to do it, because then you are picking who you want to be on there from not a pool. We had the pool that put applications in.
Right.
And I think we should live with that until something tells us that, we really need more support.
Yeah, the applications that we got were basically because we had a personal connection with those people, with the exception of the student. And when we said that we put it out via social media, our social media presence is in its infancy. So it really didn't cast a very wide net. So the reason why I'm asking for us to open it up again so that we could try again, so that we could cast a wider net, then we would open the pool up again, and then make our choices from there. And originally, when I had written the I don't know what to call it, the mission statement for the ambassador committee, I think I had said not more than 5. And we chose to start out with 3 because 3 seemed to be a manageable number for Matt to manage.
May I make a suggestion that I did receive one application after the closing period, but only one so far. If I receive any more applications, whether it be anybody who knows anybody, if we get, say, 3 or more applications from people that are qualified, revisit that and have the committee get together and maybe make a recommendation to the board if they think that needs to be changed. I'm looking to Mr. Morissette, Ms. Gillespie, since you're the two, would be that committee.
So my thinking though, just a sec here, Leonard, I don't think we should wait and worry about discussing. Let's go find these ladies, these moms that were looking for their valuable input, and let's listen to them. It doesn't have to be one. We can meet as a group and listen. Myself. Go ahead, Leonard.
If indeed your resolution said up to 5, okay, and if their applications can still come in, so we have appointed 3 out of a possible 5, and if applications come in, I don't personally want to put out in the Tri-City Herald and get 40 applications and have to wad your way through that. I'm not there. But if we can, by word of mouth or however that it is, that Matt over the next month receives 3 or 4 more applications, we are well within that ability to say, yeah, okay, let's go to 5 or leave it at 3. So I think that flexibility is there without spreading a net that is a whole start over. That makes, I generally don't make a lot of sense, but yeah.
So that would mean reopening, right? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, because they weren't closed, were they?
Yes, it was closed. Yes, it's at a specific period. So my
Oh, the
suggestion
service
is,
closed?
if
Okay.
I get 3 or 4 more applications as director from whatever source, that I ask Mr. Morissette and Ms. Gillespie to review those applications, they look through them, and they may have a recommendation to the board to expand the committee to 5, is what I'm fishing for and suggesting.
Yeah, if it's closed, then it's closed.
It was closed, but if you want to, that's still is a question. It was closed. Do you want to keep it open or reopen it? And I need a board direction on that.
I do not at this time.
Okay.
I'm okay with not, but let's go find these people. I mean, in terms of, we can listen to them as a group. It doesn't mean go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, just one word of caution. So, one of the things I think we probably want to stay focused on is the size of the board and focus on that. And when you decide to go out, if what you're doing is you're looking for, and you can certainly, because a board like this is just purely advisory, you're looking for feedback. You can choose the feedback that you want to get and make sure that it's diverse as much as you want. But it could get a little squirrely if it looks like you're not open. All of a sudden, you find the person that you really want, you open it, and then you're excluding other people, and that could cause problems for somebody who feels like they want a specific voice that maybe you're not as much interested in doing. So it'd be better if you can focus on whether you're okay with 3 now or not, and then reopen it generally, and then go through that process, and then you can certainly decide the representatives you want through that process. But then you're not kind of baking in the picking and choosing before you actually have the applicants. That would be my recommendation.
So maybe we let this settle for a month or 2 and revisit and try to reopen then. And Mark, my concern with your suggestion that we just go out and talk to the moms is that requires an extra step. Whereas the ambassador committee was a structure for the design and construction committee to go and get input from a group of citizens already in place. So now if we need to go outside of that, then that requires us to go do extra work, to go find that person, to get their input, bring it back to the ambassador committee, talk to the ambassadors, bring that back to the board. So that's why I do not want to do that. I want it to be within the ambassador committee.
Well, I'm talking about committee or community meetings. I'm not talking about trying to find a person. I'm talking about trying to listen to a group within the community.
Yeah.
If I might, I think that we have had the process. We had applications. We had up to 5 applications in a timely manner. And I think if we try to cherry pick something that we're after, I think we're looking at a problem. So we open it up completely for whatever, and you have to deal with what it is, and you go to 5. And you deal with the applications you have, or you accept the fact that we have 3 people who have been appointed tonight, and we go with that and move on.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to revise a suggestion at this point. I'm not hearing consensus on reopening it, but nobody's going to stop. I can't stop anybody from sending me an email application. Perhaps I do a report at the next board meeting, and if I suddenly get a bunch more applications, bring this subject back up next month. Also, we do have a full agenda and would suggest that we move on along the agenda and be happy that we do have three people on the ambassador committee, and we're gonna involve them greatly at this point. And I'm hoping that's the way moving forward here.
All right, very good. So we move on to agenda item 8C.
And I'll do some introductory comments because I promised you all a workshop, and we're not in another room, but there is a workshop element to this tonight. And this is going to be a fun section. And I'm going to introduce Brooke Hanley from NAC Architecture here, who's going to do a two-part exercise. As you see, there's some boards in the back of the room. What I believe she's going to want to do is involve you all in a process that we've been involving the public for choosing some amenities. And I'm asked of suggestions, certainly board members, but anybody else in the room who hasn't been doing it are going to get some stickers. We're going to take just a minute to move some boards up to this area. And so for probably a few minutes, and Brooke, do you want to actually tell them what the process is, and I'll move the boards. So Brooke Hanley from NAC Architecture, and it has the floor.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you today. So we have been working on some community outreach exercises, as Marie described in her report. So we thought it would be fun to get together with you all and show you what we've been doing, get your take on it, and then give you an update on the results that we've received. As of this morning, we even have updated survey results. So I think it would be great if, oh, sorry. Is that a little better? All right. So we've been working on the community engagement exercises, as Marie described in her report. So we thought it'd be fun to get together with you all and do the same exercise that we've been doing with people in the community, whether that's at the Family Expo or at the basketball games that Matt has been attending, or the survey that's online right now. So what we've been asking people to do is take your stickers and come up to the boards and review the photos, and then use your stickers to vote on your favorite amenities. So this exercise is really about optional amenities that we could include in the facility. There are some basic amenities that we are going to have. We're going to have pools where you can have swim lessons, and you can have, just free time in the pool. You can have fitness, water walking, all of those kind of things are going to be included no matter what. But these are extra items that kind of add that fun, that wow factor. So we'd really like you guys to come up and use your stickers to vote. Everyone in the room is invited to do that. And then what I'll do after that is share our current results from the surveys and the other activities that we've been doing, so you can see what people have chosen as their top favorites. So feel free to come out.
And if anybody has any questions, I know we've gotten pretty good at this too. So one of the concepts is don't maybe get stuck on whether indoors or outdoors or daytime, nighttime. For example, there's a screen, and I'm thinking Jaws.
This is all about the leisure recreation side so far. should be 5 per board.
You can do 5.
We like kids love extra envelopes, they really love. Yeah, so don't worry about it being inside or outside of the picture. Almost any of these things can be inside or outside.
We had lots of little kids asking that.
You might have let the little kids. Yeah.
No, different things, different work. We want you to pick your 5 favorite on each board.
So in the survey online, they're broken up into 3 different questions. So I think it changes the results up to a little bit.
Is the Master Blaster still being built? You know what that is?
No wrong answers.
It's like a water slide, it's a roller coaster.
Oh,
It goes up and down.
they have,
Up and down
those
again.
are a really big deal right now. Yeah, there's one going in at Silver Lake
Yes.
right now.
Oh, really?
In the summer, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of really, it's called the water slide roller coaster.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that's what they call it in Anchorage, Alaska. But the big water parks down in Texas, I think you called it that.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard,
It's-
I
it's
like that term though, that's way more fun. Master Blaster?
Look at the splitter ball or whatever it is.
Yes,
Master
they
Blaster
have
was
them.
the original.
What was that?
Master Blaster was an original Atari game.
Oh. How are you, Melissa? I'm good.
One button?
Caroline, you close to getting done? I'm done. Okay, done. Caroline, are you done? One left?
I want a slave.
I know, he's trying to keep you guys on track.
Joan, I make you guys do this before Brooke shares more with you.
I was an auctioneer calling right.
Closing time.
Five and 10. So I'm never going to get it. I want an extra. Any left? One left. Last vote. You get the guy with no fingers to do that. You're all right, Larry. You figure it out. Thank you. Okay, and she's gonna do presentation now, so. does that count? As soon as Caroline comes back,
Mm-hmm.
start it.
Okay, do you want to move those so the people?
I will, as soon as I can.
Well, thank you
Well-
guys.
While they're doing that, can you go ahead with your data that you've learned so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you guys for participating in that. You get a little taste of what we've been seeing with our community. And just to recap, we've been at the Family Expo at the Hapo Center and 2 basketball games that Matt has attended and also the online survey. And so we're also going to be at another event here in early March, and we'll hopefully get those people to fill out the survey as well. So I want to share the current top votes as of today. The Lazy River is our top vote getter. So that is this this photo here, the lazy river, and this colorful lighting is number 2. That has been a very interesting topic of conversation for people as they come up. They're really interested in what's going on in this photo. They like just the lighting and the vibe of it. It looks a little bit more fun than some standard pool facilities. The wave pool is coming in at number 3, and the floating obstacle course is number 4. And those are getting a lot of votes. The Lazy River has by far the highest votes, but then we have at 500, and then below that is sort of 400 level votes, and then 300 level. So the floating obstacle course is the start of our 300 level. Jump platform and the flow rider are 5 and 6. We have indoor and outdoor slides that have actually tied as of today, number 7. This ninja course is a retractable feature that could be over a lap pool. And then the bowl slide are 8 and 9. 9 is also tied here with an indoor or outdoor hot tub. That has become really popular with the adults. And then the LED screen is actually coming in at number 10. So below that, we have the play structure and fitness programs. This floating obstacle course, the rentable cabanas. All right, and I'll just finish these. The play splash pad, excuse me, and this aqua zippin, which is a rope swing contraption that you hang on to, and it swings you out over the water and then drops you, but it prevents you from coming back and hitting the edge of the pool. 16 and 17, we have some in-water loungers and a family slide. And then these are votes that are quite a few less votes. The drop slide, the vortex, the climbing wall, and some basketball and volleyball. So that's the current ranking, and we want to see how your votes compare. So far, the top vote getter here is the Lazy River, which is consistent with the votes we have here online. The Flow Rider is your second vote, which is number 6. And then the obstacle course, which is also a top vote getter in here. So your votes are very consistent, I think, with the top vote getters that we've seen so far from the community. Do you have any questions?
What's participation on the online?
So far, we have 185. Let's see. And I have those tallies right here. Yeah. About 380 at the Family Expo, 185 online, and we're continuing to keep that survey open for as long as we think is necessary. 100 people, about each 100 people at the basketball events on Saturday mornings. We just divided by the sticker count. So we'll round up or down. Any other questions? Does this make sense? This is how we're kind of trying to weigh what do we, allocate the most budget for when it comes to the pool amenities.
Is this typical in these operations where you go out like this and you've got pictures that they do it? This is very typical.
This is how we've been doing a lot of our community outreach for pools specifically. It's just easy to understand from a picture, and then using the sticker as a voting mechanism is fun and easy. It's not scientific, but it's fun.
How long does this process continue?
Well, our goal right now from the Progressive Design Build team is to validate which amenities we should include in the budget, and our validation period currently lasts until mid-April. So I think here pretty soon we will probably close the survey for this portion and then move on to other community engagement events where we can go back to the public and say, here's what we heard. Here's what it could look like. You know, how does this resonate with you?
Obviously, we're going to be limited by the number of these things that we can have, just because of volume.
Yes.
Would you bring it down to the top 5 or 6 or 7, something like that, to where it's manageable, and then shoot it back out again?
Yes. Excuse me. So that's when I rank the top 9 or 10. You know, we see how many of these we can get in the project with our current budget. And it might mean that some of these are more expensive. And so we would go then down to some of the less expensive items that might have not have gotten enough votes, but are affordable and still fun. Any other questions?
Nope. I think we're good. Any other questions? Yes, thank you very much, Brooke.
Thank you.
I would just note, Brooke made those boards, and those have been very helpful, been very well received by the public. I'm planning to go out to some additional Saturday events, including a soccer thing this Saturday. Also trying to make it to the senior center. Also, we've been invited to Tierra Vida at the beginning of March to do more of a focus group. So it's been a mixture of rushes of people, a little bit more focused, and I think we're getting good data to be able to validate what we're going to want as a project. So, and more community outreach too. People, I think even a month ago, it's like, yeah, we've heard about it, aquatics facility for years and years. I know that the last Saturday I went was like, oh, I heard about it from a friend, and I'm glad you're here. So the word is getting out that we're actually doing an aquatics facility more and more. This is that public outreach portion that you all are talking about, and we're going to hit as many as we can. Besides the utility of getting feedback from the community, it's getting the word out as well.
Thank you, Brooke. Matt, so we stay with you, Ballard King Professional Services Contract?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to pull this off the agenda for action.
Okay.
Something to work on. And just to let you know, the question about how we do the process for choosing entities. This is one of those that you had Ballard King before, but via city. But now that we're a standalone PFD, we're going to need to wrestle through the process for how PFDs have to go and work, and also the question of where you set a threshold. Turns out it's just a 2K extension for something else that I think we'll be able to find funding for in another spot on our budget. But I just want you to know that that's kind of an issue that's going to be coming up. I'll be presenting to you in the future about that. And that's actually leads into section 9 on the agenda. I'm going to rocket through these if it's okay, because we do have an extensive executive session we're planning this evening.
Okay, go ahead.
Item A, I put a copy of some principles you as a board are going to need to make a decision in the near future on how to govern this thing. Do you want to do a traditional municipal model like a city where you have government employees running the operation and that sort of thing? Or do you want to do something more like, say, Kennewick PFD does a model where they use a third-party management company? Or if there is a hybrid sort of thing. So this is intended for you to start thinking about that. And I will also have reached out to Kennewick PFD. I was hoping to have a meeting this month to go talk over the pros and cons of doing it. Wasn't able to make that happen exactly. But I kind of want to also, if you all have a sense of which way you'd like to go, there's pros and cons for all these different models, and what's in front of you is just sort of a sample. I've also gotten a lot of feedback from folks and also some experience from the city. I know the city is a model has had some cases of where it's had private models, including a golf course. It's used a contractor for animal control. It's used board for downtown association, and it's trending to bringing it in-house. I think also because of a variety of circumstances. Jesse and I have had some extensive discussion about it. So I'm trying to get a sense of, do you have a preference to go municipal, preference to go third party, or do you need more information to make the decision? And I can do any of those, but I would just wanted to get a sense of where you might be at tonight or which ones to pursue. That's meant as a sort of a quick question. You don't have an answer tonight, maybe reach out to me offline. If you have your druthers which way to go, I'll keep going we haven't made any decisions yet, but I'm gonna be wanting to present and have you make a decision probably next month or the month after, because that'll be important also for our bonding. With,
You want a decision tonight?
if you all are unified or have a majority that, or if you thought about it, absolutely.
I suggest we table this until next month.
Okay.
Yeah, or so.
Any inkling of which way to go, which ones interest you more?
Gosh.
I agree with tabling it,
Okay.
but if you want an inkling on mine, most volunteer things that I've seen out there have a very difficult time because they don't have a strong leadership. It's by guess and by gosh. So I'm not in favor of that, but I do know that there are organizations that put these things on that go to a civic organization, whether it's the YMCA or it's something like that. And I can't tell you whether they work or don't work. I just know they've done that in the past. Down in the desert down there, they gave it to the YMCA through some agreement and gave them 2 years to put it to a break even. I don't know if it worked or not, but there are things to do that. But this thing is going to need some professional management over it, strong management over it, and I don't think you get through a volunteer organization.
And none of the ones I'm suggesting be a volunteer organization. I would say if it's a third-party management company that you would pay handsomely for, is the model, one of the options.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to work through that one.
Okay. So call that a heads up. That's a decision we'll need to make in the near future, and I will bring additional information on that point. That also fits just a little bit. Call it extra heads up that regardless of which model we go, I think the question of lifeguards is going to be a significant one for this organization, and not one that you can decide and then and institute it the next month. This is probably a case of where thinking about this summer season that's coming up, we know that our friends at the city of Pasco have significant number of lifeguards that do Memorial Pool, and my understanding is lifeguards is always a challenge. That's going to be your challenge because that's going to be the number one batch of employees. So maybe the idea that we need to look forward and grow the number of lifeguards in the community is probably be in the benefit of the PFD, and coming up with a plan for that. I'm talking with our friends of the city of Pasco to see if they have some thoughts and ideas that might be able to help us as an organization. So call that a heads up. And also the minimum wage question, since they tend to be minimum wage jobs. And I think I've also heard from Mr. Ballard that is an increasingly big chunk of your operational budget, is the number of lifeguards. And I've heard, Jesse, I'm trying to remember, I heard if there are X number of lifeguards in the city of Pasco, expect 1.2X for probably our facility is probably what we're expecting.
Yeah, to be fully operational in the summertime for Memorial Pool, which includes enough staff for them to effectively have breaks when the temperature's over 95 degrees, we need 65 lifeguards. And we've struggled the last couple of years to get that, which means during some of the hottest days when we don't have enough coverage, we actually have kids get out of the pool and wait for 15 minutes while the lifeguards take their heat breaks, and then we start that service back again. So lifeguards has probably been challenging. I'm sure Mr. Whitemarsh can probably add to that, but that is one of those things. On staff, we do have a certified lifeguard trainer who just completed his out-of-town training last week. So we do have staff to do that, but even having that staff you still need people to train. So
does that work through some sort of like an apprenticeship program? I mean, when do you start the recruitment process for the lifeguards? Now?
we will start generally for Memorial Pool soon, so I believe it's over May 4th weekend. Cinco de Mayo, May 4th and 5th weekend, we have one of our first certification classes for our pool where we get started. But I think that's what Mr. Watkins is trying to bring forward, that while you're planning, to open maybe a facility in 2 years, probably 8 or 10 months prior to that, we're going to need to figure out, or you as a board will need to figure out how you start that recruitment process to ensure that you have enough lifeguards to open the facility on the day you cut the ribbon.
So if this is going to be like a 60-40 facility, then we'll need the lifeguards year round.
Right.
which means would these come from like CBC students? Where do you?
I think I mean, Tri-Cities is a market. We have plenty of high school and plenty of students as well. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a matter of probably working to build up that base. It may come down to whether you're gonna probably need both part-time and full-time lifeguards, cause you'll need some head lifeguards or pool managers, shift managers and stuff. So I think it'll get fairly complex, but the multiples of what you need are just lifeguards at the end of the day. So that's something, yeah, and some of that may come to the operations of who's gonna run and manage the pool and what they bring to the table to do that. But it is a concern, and I think also being it's in Pasco and we also operate Memorial Pool in Pasco, that we may wanna look at collaborating or ensuring that we're not stealing one another's lifeguards back and forth either. So.
And I think these are examples of where I've been helping you out as kind of your one-person staff with tremendous amount help the city of Pasco. We're going to fast come to a time as we get into the design build portion of the process. We're going to start thinking about operations. We're going to think about needing to bring other resources on. And so I'm just giving you a heads up that that's coming down the pike.
Okay. Any questions, comments for Matt?
Ready to pick the color of the umbrella.
Yeah, and I have troubles with colors. What's that?
Nothing.
Okay. Owner's rep, Heath Gardner.
I'm gonna make this really quick this time. I think Marie did a really good job of covering what the team's been up to, which is entirely appropriate and great. The only thing I'll just add is, I think so far the progress is going really great. Having the design build team on board and ramped up is amazing. They're doing a great job. You guys saw how awesome Brooke is, and Brandon was here. He had to run to his daughter's basketball game, but they've been fantastic so far to work with. Really great, and we're grinding into gear and really making progress. One of the things that's been happening is that behind the scenes is that Boughton's been bringing on sub-consultants for the major trades in the process, and that's one of the benefits of the progressive design build model is we get to bring them on early. They get to help us during the early validation phase and during early design. So they're bringing on sub-trade partners for mechanical systems, HVAC and plumbing, and electrical systems, and also the pool contractors. So those are selected by the design builder through a qualifications-based selection, and Matt and myself and Jake and actually Brooke also sat on those selection committees with Boughton for those interviews. That has happened recently. It went really great. We got really great, Boughton received really great responses and great options, and those are being selected and finalized as we speak, which is great. Then just a reminder that the validation phase of this project is scheduled to go through April, and what that validation is making sure that we have a budget and a program that can match up, right? And we are coming to the point where we're coming face to face with the budget constraints, right? And that started to kind of happen last meeting, and we'll be bringing those things to this body in the future with options of things to do, but to make the budget and the program match up. But so far so good. And then just as far as risks and challenges, the biggest number one risk and challenge right now is property acquisition, and I believe you have an executive session that I'm anxious to get to. So that's one of the reasons to keep this short about that. But just know that that's probably the number one challenge right now. And also wanted to just echo what Mr. Watkins mentioned about the operational plan. That operational plan, I believe, is an integral part of getting bonding passed. And so I think you're wise to think it over. There's some important decisions there, but it's coming where you're gonna have to make that decision so that Mr. Watkins can have that decision in his pocket while he's finalizing an operational plan that the folks that are gonna get the financing together are going to look at, and it's gonna play into their ability to achieve maximum bonding and interest in the bonds. So that's my report. Anybody have any questions?
Sorry, hearing none, then, we're gonna go into executive session, and, the executive session is consideration of site selection or acquisition of real estate purchase or lease, if likelihood that disclosure would increase price per RCW 42.30.110, parentheses 1, parentheses lowercase b. And it'll be 45 minutes, which will mean we'll be back
Mr.
out.
Mr. Morissette, I'm going to suggest that we take a 5-minute break and then start the executive session. And the executive session, besides having board members, would also include the attorney, Mr. Heath, myself, and then also Richa Sigdell. So my suggestion is take a break until 5:33 and then 45 minutes
No,
after
we'll
that.
reconvene at 5:35, because then I can do my math simple. Thank you,
If
Darcy.
you-
Darcy knows. 5:35.
If you'd like, you could adjourn right now or recess and go take the break and then go to the executive session without reconvening the meeting if you'd like.
Now I'm getting too many options here, Eric. What do you,
Yeah, just, I would just say, call for the executive session, right now to start at, 5:35. And then we don't have to come back in session. We can go straight to executive session.
perfect, that's what we'll do. Everybody's okay with that?
And I would note too, no action is planned after the meeting, and after the conclusion of the meeting, that would be the suggestion that you adjourn the meeting.
So does that mean those in the audience that wish to go home can go home?
Exactly, because there will be no action after the executive session.
And the executive section is next over, okay?
Yes.
Very good.